Srila Prabhupada ki. We'll start with Mangalachan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 O my Lord, the all-pervading personality, Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta Prayeshu Bhateshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Okay. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining today's Bhagavatam class. We will be reading from verse 1, 8.9.1 to 23, and we will be reciting text 11. Yes, but before we begin reading this, I have a short question. Can you think of an example where you wanted something very badly, that you ignored the warning signs and later you kind of regretted it? That you wanted something very badly at some point of time, like, oh, I need to have this, I want this, but then, and you didn't consider anything and you just went and did it, but then you kind of regretted. Any example?
You got it because you got it or you didn't receive it? Like?
You regretted it afterwards, like how it all turned out, even after you got it, or the process itself. Yes, Antariksh Prabhu, you had something.
No sleeping on time, always let me finish this and in the morning you
Yeah, that's a good example. Yes, Prabhu.
There was one time after my marriage where I thought I wanted to be the best baker in Toronto. So without even researching, seeing the recipe, feeling inspired, I just went and bought like $600 material just for this is for baking, this is for this is for mixing, and they're still sitting as it is brand new.
Oh, yes.
Coming to Canada.
Oh, touching upon my life story. But yeah, it could be anything, starting from toxic friendships, like you really want that friend, but then when it all ends and you realize that, oh, you know what, it's not really worth it. It wasn't worth it. I got hurt, and that person wasn't nice. They were very toxic, but I couldn't see it in that moment. for the duration of for whatever time the friendship lasted. And now I'm just regretting it. It could be anything, like an impulsive purchase, like Vishaka Prabhu mentioned. It could be, purchasing something you can't really afford at the moment. Or, something that people also fall for is get rich quick scams. Yeah? We just need this OTP and we'll transfer like $100,000. So something like that. We will understand why I asked this question in particular when we start reading. So let's begin. Prabhu.
Sukadeva Goswami said, thereafter the demons became inimical toward one another, throwing and snatching the container of nectar. They gave up their friendly relationship. Meanwhile, they saw a very beautiful young woman coming forward toward them.
Upon seeing the beautiful woman, the demons said, Alice, how wonderful is her beauty, how wonderful the luster of her body, and how wonderful the beauty of her youthful age. Speaking in this way, they quickly approached her, full of lusty desires to enjoy her, and began to inquire from her in many ways.
Oh, wonderfully beautiful girl, you have such nice eyes, resembling the petal of a lotus flower. Who are you? Where do you come from? What is your purpose in coming here? And to whom do you belong? Oh, you whose thighs are extraordinarily beautiful. Oh, our minds are becoming agitated simply because of seeing you.
What to speak of human beings, even the demigods, demons, siddhas, gandharvas, charanas, and the various directors of the universe, the Prajapatis, have never touched you before. It is not that we are unable to understand your identity.
Oh beautiful girl with beautiful eyebrows, certainly Providence, by his causeless mercy, has sent you to please the senses and minds of all of us. Is this not a fact?
Text 6. We are now all engaged in enmity among ourselves because of this one subject matter, the container of nectar. Although we have been born in the same family, we are becoming increasingly inimical. O thin-waisted women, who are so beautiful in your prestigious position, we therefore request you to favor us by settling our dispute.
Text 7. All of us, both demons and demigods, have been born of the same father, Kashyapa, and thus we are related as brothers. But now we are exhibiting our personal prowess in dissension. Therefore, we request you to settle our dispute and divide the nectar equally among us.
Having thus been requested by the demons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had assumed the form of a beautiful woman, began to smile. Looking at them with attractive feminine gestures, she spoke as follows.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the form of Mohini, told the demons, O son of Kashyapamuni, I am only a prostitute. How is that you have so much faith in me? A learned person never puts his faith in a woman.
Text 10. O demons, as monkeys, jackals, and dogs are unsteady in their sexual relationships and want newer and newer friends every day, women who live independently seek new friends daily. Friendship with such a woman is never permanent. This is the opinion of learned scholars.
Shri Shukadeva Goswami continued. After the demons heard the words of Muni Murti, who had spoken as if jokingly, they were all very confident. They laughed with gravity, and ultimately they delivered the container of nectar into her hands.
Text 12. Thereafter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, having taken possession of the container of nectar, smiled slightly and spoke in attractive words. She said, My dear demons, if you accept whatever I may do, whether honest or dishonest, then I can take responsibility for dividing the nectar among you.
30. The chefs of the demons were not very expert in deciding things. The chief. Upon hearing the sweet words of Mohini Murti, they immediately assented, Yes, that's right. What you have said is alright. Thus the demons agreed to accept her decision.
The demigods and demons then observed a fast. After bathing, they offered clarified butter and oblations into the fire and gave charity to the cows and to the Brahmins, and members of the other orders of society, namely the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, who were all rewarded as they deserved. Thereafter, the demigods and demons performed ritualistic ceremonies under the direction of the Brahmanas. Then they dressed themselves with new garments according to their own choice, decorated their bodies with ornaments, and sat facing east on seats made of kusha grass.
Text 16 and 17. O king, as the demigods and demons sat fasting facing east in an arena fully decorated with flowers, garlands, and lamps, and fragrant with the smoke of incense, that woman, dressed in a most beautiful sari, her ankle bells tinkling, entered the arena walking very slowly because of her big, low hips. Her eyes were restless beauty, youthful pride. Her breasts were like water jugs. Her thighs resembled the trunks of elephants, and she carried a water pot in her hand.
Her attractive nose and cheeks and her ears, adorned with golden earrings, made her face very beautiful. As she moved, her sari's border on her breast moved slightly aside. When the demigods and demons saw these beautiful features of Mohini Murti, who was glancing at them and slightly smiling, they were all completely enchanted.
Demons are by nature grouped are like snakes. Therefore, to distribute a share of the nectar to them was not at all feasible, since this would be dangerous as simplifying milk to a snake. Considering this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who never called down, did not deliver a share of nectar to the demons.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Mohini Murti, the Master of the Universe, arranged separate lines of seating places and seated the demigods and demons according to their positions.
Text 21. Taking the container of nectar in her hands, she first approached the demons, satisfied them with sweet words, and thus cheated them on their share of the nectar. Then she administered the nectar to the demigods, who were sitting at a distant place, to make them free from invalidity, old age, and death.
O king, since the demons had promised to accept whatever the woman did, whether just or unjust, now to keep this promise, to show their equilibrium and to save themselves from fighting with the woman, they remain silent.
Text 23. The demons had developed affection for Mohini Murti and a kind of faith in her, and they were afraid of disturbing their relationship. Therefore, they showed respect and honor to her words and did not say anything that might disturb their friendship with her.
Yes. We're focusing on text
11. Okay. Shri Shukadeva Uvacha.
Shri Shukadeva Uvacha.
Iti te Shvelitestasya Ashvata Manasosura Jahasur Bhava Gambhiram Tadushchamrita Bhajanam Shri Shuka Uvacha. Iti te Shvelitestasya Ashvata Manasosura Jahasur Bhava Gambhiram Tadushchamrita Bhajanam Shri Shuka Uvacha. Iti te Shvelitestasya Ashvasta Manasosura Jahasur Bhava Gambhiram Tadushchamrita Bhajanam
Shri Shuka Uvacha. Iti te Shvelitestasya
Ashvasta Manasosura
Jahasurbhavagambiram.
What's me? Dadushchamrata bhajanam.
Dadushchamrata bhajanam.
Shishukavacha.
Shishukavacha.
Iti te shvetitastasya.
Iti te shvetitastasya.
Ashvata manasosura.
Ashvata manasosura.
Jahasurbhavagambiram.
Jahasurbhavagambiram. Dadushchamrita bhajanam.
Shri Sukhovacha.
Shri Sukhovacha.
Iti te shvetitastasya.
Iti te shvetitastasya. Ashvasta manasosura.
Jahasurbhavagambiram.
Jahasurbhavagambiram. Dadushchamrita bhajanam. Shri Sukhovacha.
Iti te shvelitastasya.
Iti te shvelitastasya.
Ashvasta manasosura.
Ashvasta manasosura.
Jahasurbhavagambiram.
Jahasurbhavagambiram.
Dadushchamrita bhajanam.
Dadushchamrita bhajanam.
Shri Sukhovacha.
Shri Sukhovacha. Iti te shvelitastasya. Avasta manasosura.
Jahasurbhavagambiram.
Jahasurbhavagambiram.
Dadushchamrita bhajanam.
Dadushchamrita bhajanam.
Shri Sukhovacha.
Shri Sukhovacha.
Iti te shvetitasya.
Iti te shvelitastasya.
Ashvata manasosura.
Ashvasta manasosura.
Jahasurbhavagambiram.
Jahasurbhavagambiram. Dadushchamrita bhajanam. Okay, synonyms we'll do it together. Shri Sukha Uvacha. Shri Sukdev Goswami said, Iti, thus. Wait. We'll start it again until we keep a normal pace where everyone can follow. Shri Sukha Uvacha. Shri Shukdev Goswami said, Iti, thus, they, those demons, Shvelite, by speaking as if jokingly, Tasyaha, of Mohini Murti, Ashvasta, grateful with faith, Manasa, their minds, Asuraha, all the demons, Jahasu, laughed, Pavagambhiram, all the Mohini Murti was full of gravity, Dadu, delivered, Cha, also, Amrita Bhajana, the container of nectar. Translation altogether. Shri Sukadev Goswami continued, after the demons heard the words of Mohini Murti, who had spoken as if jokingly, they were all very confident. They laughed with gravity, and ultimately they delivered the container of nectar into her hands. Yes, Mona Prabhu.
The personality of Godhead in his form of Mohini was certainly not joking, but talking seriously with gravity. The demons, however, being captivated by Mohini Murti's bodily features, took her words as a joke and confidently delivered the container of nectar into her hands. Thus, Mohini Murti resembles Lord Buddha, who appeared Sammohaya Suradvisham, to cheat the asuras. The word Suradvisham refers to those who are envious of the demigods or devotees. Sometimes an incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead cheats the atheists. Thus, we see here that although Mohini Murti was speaking factually to the asuras took her words to be
Facetious.
Okay, whatever. Indeed, they were so confident of Mohini Murti's honesty that they immediately delivered the container of nectar into her hands, as if they would allow her to do with the nectar whatever she liked, whether she distributed it, threw it away, or drank it herself without giving it to them.
Okay, so first of all, the word facetious, it means treating serious issues with deliberately inappropriate humor. Sarcasm. Can you think of... I'm kidding. So
Did you say, can you think of an example?
yes, but I realized we shouldn't go there. So I decided against it. But so what all is happening is that the churning of ocean happened, the nectar of immortality was produced, and the demons stole the nectar, right? And they overpowered the demigods for a very short period of time. And Lord Vishnu then appeared as Mohini Murti to save the day. And he appeared as an enchanting woman, and the demons, despite being warned by Mohini, she told them, I can be honest, dishonest, I could trick you, I'm the perfect trickster. And they were like, yeah, whatever, do, because they were just so attracted, and they were enchanted, blinded by her beauty. So, yeah, why exactly do you think those demons just went ahead with what Mohini wanted? After, they went through all the trouble to gather everything, all the paraphernalia, everything, after doing the whole churning and everything, it was very difficult, and they could not do it by themselves. They had to take Krishna's help a bunch of times. And after going through all that trouble, all for that nectar of immortality, right? When it was time to finally consume it and being immortal, what did they do? They gave it away to an unknown stranger woman, right? Why did they do that? Why any sane person, any sane demon? Why would any sane demon do that? Yes, Prabhu.
Uncontrolled sexual urge.
Uncontrolled sexual urge. Yes, Prabhu.
They were overpowered by lust.
Overpowered by lust. Yes, Antriksh Prabhu, I'm sorry you had your hand up.
Like pure things cannot be kind of used by impure people.
Yeah, pure things cannot be used by impure people. That's also true. So yeah, demons, they were practically warriors, yet they became very irrational in front of Mohini. And this leads me back to the question that I asked the very start, all those impulsive purchases that we make, all that poor decisions we make of befriending the wrong people, of falling for wrong people even, all the life choices that are, that we end up regretting, we all make those choices because of uncontrolled desires. The desire to be happy with a friend, the desire to have something, by making that impulsive purchase, all you are thinking is, oh, if I had this, imagine if I had that dress, like you're window shopping, you're walking by, you're not even thinking of buying anything, you promised yourself that, you're not going to do it today. No purchases are going to be made today. But then I'm walking by, I see a store, glass window, a beautiful mannequin. I'm like, you know what? Life would be nice if I had that dress. I feel like I'd look very nice in that dress. I'm like, okay, let's just go and, we'll just try it on. You know what? I'm not even going to buy it. I'm just going to try it on, see how it looks. And then I try it on. I'm like, I think I could afford this. So, yeah, we make a lot of choices because we're overcome with desire of having something, of possessing something, and that leads to a lot of regrets. Yes. And in Bhagavad Gita 3:39, if we can pull it up, it talks about lust covering up real knowledge like smoke covers the fire. We can go to the translation. Yes. Would anyone like to? Rohan Prabhu.
Thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire.
Yay! United to normal speed.
Very well. We can also go to the purport. The purport is short and to the point. Oh, Haribol.
No, it's
Devanshi.
It is said in the Manusmriti that lust cannot be satisfied by any amount of sense enjoyment, just as fire is never extinguished by a constant supply of fuel. In the material world, the center of all activities is sex, and thus this material world is called Maithunya Agara, or the shackles of sex life.
Yes, we'll continue reading, but I wanted to highlight that, lust cannot be satisfied by any amount of sense enjoyment. And people keep thinking that, if I have this, I will be happy. If I have that, I will be happy. Just this thing, just that thing, and it's never ending. And Hiranyakashipu himself, we saw in the last canto, he had everything. He went over all three worlds and he wasn't satisfied. So it's like there is really no end to our desires, and it's like you can't extinguish a fire by supplying more fuel to it. It's only gonna grow bigger. Yes.
In the ordinary prison house, criminals are kept within bars. Similarly, the criminals who are disobedient to the laws of the Lord are shackled by sex life. Advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing the duration of the material existence of a living entity. Therefore, this lust is the symbol of ignorance by which the living entity is kept within the material world. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness, but actually, that so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyment.
Yes, that happiness that lasts 2 seconds. Have you ever bought something and you felt you wanted it for like a long time? You finally got it, and you were like, "Wow, I finally have this," And then you spend 2 days interacting with it or like doing whatever, and then after those 2 days, you're like, you forget that it existed. Yoga mat. Oh, I think all of us can relate to that. We've all had, like, yoga mat, I'm gonna do this, this. I did it for 2 days and I'm like, oh, you know what? My lifestyle cannot accommodate any exercise at this point. Anyone else had something to say? Mona, Prabhu, you were saying something? No? Haribo. So, also in verse 3.37 in Bhagavad Gita, it also talks about lust. Yes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is all devouring sinful enemy of this world." So, yeah, lust is, very dangerous, to put it in short. After doing all of that, they lost the nectar because obviously Mohini didn't give any of the nectar to the demons. And there's a whole story of Rahu and all of that. Also in Bhagavad Gita 2.62 and 63, this is the last verse I'm quoting, I swear. But it's just very nice. Dhyayato Vishayan Pamsa. Contemplating sense objects, contemplating upon those sense objects, it leads to attachment, and which deepens the urge of possessing them. And in its own way, it's a battle of ego, lording it over something. That's where it starts from, but then we keep getting blinded by our desires. Yes. Amala Harinam.
While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises.
Yes. So lust literally drains one's inner strength, and it leads to, their downfall. So here we see that Mohini, she already told them that, "My dear demons, if you accept whatever I may do, whether honest or dishonest, then I can take the responsibility of dividing this nectar among you. And then what did she do? She had them seated separately and gave all the nectar to only the demigods. But then there is another verse from Srimad Bhagavatam that I personally really like. It is 1:829. Naveda kaschit bhagavams chikirshitam tave hamanasya nrinam vridam vanam nayasya kaschit daitosti karhichit Tveshyas Jayasmin Vishama Maternanam. It says basically that, O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and are so misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you're partial. Now, in this verse, it is clearly stated that you have no specific object of favor, that the Lord is not partial, that people only imagine that the Lord is being partial. Now my question here is, if Lord in actuality is not partial, then why did the Lord distribute the nectar only to the demigods? Isn't that being very, very partial? Yes, Prabhu.
Because demigods.
Yes.
Because demigods were dependent upon the Lord and demons were not dependent upon the Lord. Naturally, anyone who's taking Krishna's shelter, and as per his promise in Bhagavad Gita, anyone who takes a shelter, abandon all varieties of religion, he protects that person. So demons were dependent upon the Lord.
Demigods.
Oh, sorry. Demigods
Yes.
were dependent upon the Lord. Yeah.
That's an amazing answer. Does anyone have any take on this matter? Yes, Antariksh Prabhu.
Krishna did not take it forcefully.
Mhm.
It was their free will that they wanted to give it to Mohini. And since, like you mentioned earlier, a pure thing cannot be valued by impure people, they did not know the value of it, so they lost it. It was their own thing.
Maybe I can see it in different way that God is not partial to anyone. But like here, the demons are like, they got something for what will they do, and actually they lose it for like, because of lust. Like, now, this is their karma. On the other side, in the Bhagavad Gita same, Krishna says that like, I am partial to my devotees. Whoever is my devotees, I will take one step forward for them. So like, as she said, like, the demigods dependent on the God. So like, he is partial and impartial, both, right?
So, yes, in actuality, Krishna is never partial. And Krishna is actually neutral. He reciprocates according to one's desires, right? And as Vishaka Prabhu mentioned, the demigods took shelter of Krishna. And Krishna reciprocated by protecting them and by favoring them. And the demons, on the other hand, were motivated by selfish desires, acted with greed and lust. So they received the result of their own mentality. And Krishna didn't cheat the demons. Rather, they cheated themselves by being controlled by lust. So you can't really complain about a situation asking, oh my God, why did this happen to me? Why am I suffering for this thing? Like, I just wanted this one thing. Is it so difficult, oh Lord? Is it so difficult for you to give me this one thing without any consequences? That's what we sometimes realize ourselves doing, right? But as it is said that we cheat ourselves. The Lord is always fair, and He only reciprocates according to our desires. So we really have no right to be questioning or complaining to Krishna. I was just sharing this yesterday with Modal Prabhu, that even before I found my place in Krishna consciousness, I would never, whenever I would be going through some painful situation, I would never say, oh, why this is happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Why should I be the one suffering? I would, through Lord's mercy, somehow always see my fault and I'd be like, yeah, I know exactly what I did to be in the situation. So sometimes when we're really going through it and our emotions are in a turmoil, we tend to find someone to blame. You know, that we're just really looking for something or someone to blame everything on, that, you know, this person said this, and that's what led me to say what I said, which ended up hurting them. But if they didn't say this in the first place, maybe I wouldn't hurt them. We every time when faced with such kind of situations, the natural, not, I wouldn't say the natural tendency, but that we have a tendency to find someone to blame, you know, play the blame game. But we really are the only ones responsible for whatever is happening to us. So that leads to certain clarity, even when faced with such kind of situations, that, you know, whatever is actually happening is my own fault and no one else's fault. And that leads to being okay with whatever happened. And there's this one thing that I realized, like these demons, they were fighting for it, you know, like their lives depended on it. Well, it literally did, because it was the nectar of immortality. But sometimes we also fight for something, you know, like work for something, like asses, because we really want it, you know, because we're blind. It's bona fide, okay? Like, as a donkey. I'm sorry, Prabhu. But we sometimes work very hard for something, like our lives literally depend on it. Or when sometimes faced with a situation where you're feeling some kind of pain, you feel like, oh, this is the end of the world. But then you really have to take a seat back and realize that, you know what, it all barely has any, it barely matters in the grand scheme of things. Sometimes we let our material situations, I'm talking from my own experience, from what I was facing just last week, that something happened, maybe I didn't score well on my test. That didn't happen because I didn't receive the results yet. But maybe something like that happened, you know, something happened. I lost money, I had to pay some money for this treatment, that treatment. A chunk of money is gone from my bank account. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. Why? How am I gonna financially recover from the situation? This and that. And we tend to get stuck in that problem and keep thinking about it for like days, hours. We end up stressing about it needlessly, like I will for my visa situation. But so yeah, something that I recall Radhanath Maharaj saying in Govardhaniko village is that whatever the situation might be, all you have to do is take shelter of Krishna. And I was like, okay, that's understandable, but everyone keeps saying that. How do I practically do it, you know? So someone also asked that question, that, Maharaj, what if I feel like my spiritual life is not going well? What if I feel like I'm not giving my 100%, I just can't do it, I'm not motivated enough? What do I do then? Maharaj said, take shelter of Krishna. And then someone said, what if I'm having difficulty taking shelter of Krishna? Maharaj said, take shelter of Krishna. So at first I was kind of confused, but then after some experiences and events, Krishna's mercy, I would say, I so happened to realize that whatever the situation might be, all you really have to do is just take shelter of Krishna and take shelter of the holy name. And it might feel like a far stretch to assume that it will fix all your problems, but it literally will. If whatever you're having problem with, you can always just take shelter of Krishna. You know, with our minds, how much does it weigh anyways? You know, like with our brain, how much what can we actually come up with that is substantial, right? We're all influenced by the modes of nature, no matter how much we try not to be, because we're human, and that's the way things are. We tend to be influenced by the modes of material nature, and they tend to influence our thoughts, our decisions. And in this condition, do we really think that we'll be able to come up with a solution better than Krishna can? Well, the answer is, well, no. And it's not unfortunate. Fortunately, no. So Krishna will really take care of anything and everything. If you're having trouble connecting to Krishna, go to Krishna. It's like, Krishna, I can't. I'm not able to connect with you these past few days, and I feel bad. I feel kind of lost. Please help me. And Krishna will literally do something about it. And I also, one of the realizations that Venkatesh Prabhu was talking about in the Ishtagoshti that I shared with him, I realized, so I just wanted to use this last few minutes to share that reflection. So we were in Prashadam Hall, and Venkatesh Prabhu asked me, Prabhu, how's life? And I was like, you want to know how's life or how's life? Because life is good, but if you're actually asking, well, stuff is happening. So then I ended up sharing that. At first, when something happens, as I said, you try to blame someone for the situation you're in, because that's the easiest way to get out of any situation guilt-free. And so that's our first nature, to escape everything without taking any kind of blows on yourself. And so by doing that, you end up sometimes thinking badly of someone. You sometimes end up speaking badly of someone, which is, well, worse than thinking bad. But I realized that whenever I stopped myself from even thinking badly or negatively of any situation or of anyone, Krishna would literally reward me. So a few months back, I made a prayer saying that I'm having a lot of trouble controlling my thoughts. And it's affecting no one else because I don't speak those thoughts. I don't put them out, but it's affecting me because there's just a lot of negativity in my thought process and also the way that I see that person. Because if you think badly of someone, it influences the way that you're gonna interact with them in the future. You cannot see them for who they are, and you will only see them how you want to see them. Why? Because you want to remain guilt-free. So I realized that I told Krishna that please help me get over this, and nothing happened immediately. But then I experienced some kind of experiences, and after that, I would literally stop myself from thinking. Whenever I think of something bad, even for a situation, I literally just stop myself. I'm like, okay, let's just stop, take a step back, and revisit this again later. And by doing that, you first stop yourself from committing offenses in your brain, and then you stop letting those thoughts influence your actions. You might not say it, but it might still influence your actions. So it helps you not influence your actions as well. And Kalakanta Prabhu, when he was here and we had a session with him, he also mentioned that blasphemy is very bad, and that it's just not beneficial for anyone. If you're thinking of something, just go and tell that person straight. If you have to say that, Prabhu, I'm not supposed to be telling you this, then you're definitely not supposed to be telling someone that. So, yeah, but whatever it is, we can really take shelter of Krishna. And blasphemy is our literal worst enemy as devotees. It's the first offense to the holy name. And I remember, again, Radhanath Maharaj saying this, that there's this one time Srila Prabhupada said that you only have to do two things to keep progressing in your spiritual life without a stop, like without any kind of hindrance. All you have to do is chant the holy names, and never criticize any living entity. Not even raccoons, not even worms, not even any kind of insects. and never a human being. So, yes, he said you only have to do these two things, and Mahaprabhu will literally take you back at the end of this lifetime. Because imagine, blasphemy is like we're all Krishna's children. If someone says anything bad to me, then my mom's not gonna like it. And if someone talks badly about me, my dad's not gonna like it. So if we speak poorly about any other living entity, Krishna's not gonna like it, because to Krishna everyone's equal. And I felt like this is something that I should share. Well, because it also is a reflection of our inconsistent chanting, right? If I must say so, it's a strong statement. So please correct me wherever needed. But yeah, that's something that I wanted to share. And with that, I would like to open the floor for any kind of questions, discussions, reflections. Oh, Haribol. Yes, Prabhu.
Very nice class. Just like when you mentioned, or when we were reading the translations, and you also asked this question, like, demons did so much of maneuvering and endeavoring, and then they just got tricked by
lost it all.
It just reminds me of a very nice pastime of Srila Prabhupada. It's actually in the book Science of Self-Realization, and this article is also upstairs, right in front of the front desk, next to the picture. It's known as Truth and Beauty. And so this is not very, this is just very much related to that point, and if you allow, I would just like to summarize that, because that kind of like detaches us from material things. And definitely it was a big turning point in my own life, so that's why I'm sharing. And then also like seeing what demons did here. You should definitely read Truth and Beauty. I mean, if you're new, especially in Krishna consciousness, or even old, like you should read that. And there is a reason why it's framed upstairs too. You can find it in Science of Self-Realization. Long story short, it's basically a man who falls in love with a woman, or let's just say is attracted to the women. And this woman is like, she's a very nice girl, very beautiful, very attractive, but at the same time she tells this boy that come later, like, how about this, like we meet 10 days later and then let's discuss if we're going to be together or not. And for 10 days she takes certain medication, because of which her health gets messed up. And she starts like getting sick. She has a lot of loose motion, she vomits out, and a lot of the bodily fluids are coming out. So naturally, I'm sure if anyone has been through flu and diarrhea and also, so she had all of that, and then she collected all her waste, like all the vomit, stool, everything in a pot. She kept collecting it in a couple of pots. Now that was very strange. But at the same time, when you're sick, you become weak, your eyes are very dull. So her eyes went inside the socket, she got very shrinked, and she wasn't looking as attractive as she was looking 10 days ago. 10 days later, when this man meets the girl is like, he's just surprised to see the girl. And he is just asking, okay, but what happened to you? I wasn't in love with this kind of person. I was in love with the other kind of person who I saw 10 days ago. Then she hands over that pot of, stuff. Yeah, pus, stool, urine, everything to this lover who was attracted to her. And what Prabhupada is explaining is that when we, like how demons are attracted to Mohini Murti, even though Mohini Murti is spiritual, but the demons are still on the material platform. And we can get attracted to such things, but at the end of the day, if we are attracted to someone's beauty like that, and not really caring about their character quality, that really means we're just attracted to the pus, urine, stool, because that's what the body is made of, right? And it's a big slap, I think, just in my own consciousness, like how I just like this girl, I'm physically attracted to this person, this and that. And I think even further in the chapter where Shiva is attracted to Mohini Murti, this is further explained. So I just wanted to, because it came to my mind and we don't really read small books, so it's just nice for you all to maybe like today just go and read. literally like 3-4 pages, not much. Just wanted to add that.
Right. Thank you, Prabhu. And since we talked so much about the dangers of lusty desires, be it a person, be it some kind of thing, how do we overcome lust? And so it is said that lust cannot be suppressed, but it can be replaced. And just as a child forgets a dangerous toy when you give them something nicer to attract their attention, you can literally replace your lusty desires with Krishna consciousness.
Just one more point to that. It just so happened that I had some question and I messaged Amulila Prabhu, the one from India. And then he responded back about something similar. And he said if devotees are actually going through some sort of anartha, they're feeling lusty. Lust is the most extreme sort of anartha, and of course jealousy and envy. He suggested they should just start singing a bhajan, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Narottam Das Thakur, and with full heart, and just see what difference does it make. So I want to try that if I feel like that. But I think the question was just actually about this particular canto, feeling envious and like demons, they feel envious. So it was so you're just continuously reminding me of what I read and heard.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Prabhu. So the idea of developing a higher taste, it stays, that you just need a higher taste. And it might not be one big thing, you just need, if you're not doing Krishna consciousness, you need Krishna consciousness. But what if you're already Krishna conscious and you still are fighting with those anarthas? You still just keep doing Krishna consciousness. You just keep doing your sadhana nicely, you keep chanting your rounds, and replace that desire with a higher desire, which is to serve Krishna. And so seek shelter in Krishna's holy name. And you can also share it with your mentors and reach out for help. It's always advised to reach out for any kind of help. So thank you, Prabhu. And we're just about done, Prabhu. Yes.
Thank you. It was a really wonderful class. Prabhu, you mentioned that demons, they were caught up by the lusty desires, and therefore they lost everything. But also, if we look about demigods, they got really attracted to Mohini Murti too. I mean, it's Krishna. Krishna is already so attractive, and he's especially taking an avatar just to, give this nectar to the demigods. And I can recall Kalakanta Prabhu saying that Krishna has 10 hands. If he wants to take something from you, how can he hold on to it? And if he wants to give you something, then how can he hold it? The same thing that I'm sorry, I'm just unable to get accept the fact that demigods were not taking shelter of Krishna. It was what else was their fault?
Demigods were taking shelter.
Sorry, demons were not taking shelter of Krishna. What was their fault?
I mean, not taking shelter of Krishna already sounds big enough of a reason, right? By taking Krishna's shelter, he will protect you from all your desires as well.
And at the same time, demons were just, let's say you're not, it's like a one-on-one thing. You don't want to involve the Lord right now. That's fine. But then at the same time, demons were not fair. The pot came out and they ran, and then they started fighting amongst themselves. So it's not like they were doing anything according to something. So.
Yes. And desires can be really unruly, you can't really control. But I think I might have something, but if I do find it, I will share it to the group. But as of now, if anyone else has a take on this, yes, Antariksh Prabhu.
Demons were atheists. They wanted them to be represented as God. They wanted to be God, and which is impossible. Whereas demigods, they were assisting the Lord in all the ways. So their job was to serve the Lord. Whereas demons, their job was to distract whatever the Lord has organized.
Right. Yes, Monu Prabhu.
I think this question came up before also, and I answered something, and I would like to say the same thing, that it was mentioned of gopis also that they had lusty desire towards Krishna, but then their desire was to please Krishna, not please themselves. So here, that is the difference. I think that could be the difference, that the demons, they wanted to please themselves. They wanted to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, even in the translation it said the mentality was to enjoy Mohini Murti, not to be enjoyed by Mohini Murti.
Yes. So that is the difference. That if you feel like you are meant to be enjoyed by the Lord, then that is the right consciousness. But then if you think that the Lord is there for my enjoyment, that is lust.
Yes. And like demigods were also affected by lust and greed and their material desires. That's why this whole situation of Samudra Manthan, it happened. And they were not pure devotees like the residents of Vaikuntha. But the only crucial difference is that they acknowledged Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, took shelter, and they depended on him. So that's all the reason why Krishna kind of favored them. Yes. Does that help, Amala Harinam Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
If I find anything else, I will be sure to update you. But thank you very much, everyone, for... Oh,
You have a question? I had one. Bunu, ask us.
I'm sorry, Prabhu, I didn't...
No.
Yes.
It's like, it is said that even at the higher planets, the living entities has to face the death. So, but like, if the demigods had drank the nectar, so how they have to face the death? Because nectar is supposed to make somebody mortal. So how like demigods have to face the death?
Yes, Vishaka Prabhu has answered ready. She's on a roll today.
This nectar is not that nectar. That's a Bollywood movie nectar, where like you drink it and then you will not die. It's a Bollywood concept. This nectar is that you will not get defeated by anyone who's unfair. Like even in the beginning part of the Samudra Manthan pastime, the whole point was that when the Vasamuni cursed Indra, so the curse was that you will forget your power and influence, right? And then at the same time, he was fighting with the demons and he was losing. So that's when the Lord appeared as Shri Dakshai Vishnu and said that you go and do this churning, a lot of things will come out, horse, elephant, blah, 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 and then at the end the nectar will come out. This nectar, when you will drink, you will not at all get defeated by demons. So this nectar means you will not get defeated by demons.
Still have to face that.
Yeah. Only in spiritual, because that's not the eternal body. That's not the eternal body. So.
Yes, thank you very much for joining for the class. If I knowingly and unknowingly said anything that wasn't very nice, please forgive me. Hare Krishna. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam.